I trust that you will find this episode extraordinary, maybe even outrageous. I planned to share this particular technique in a much later episode. This technique is so extreme and I cannot contain my excitement to share it with you. My amazing journey and exploration took me to discover unknown medical breakthroughs and miracles. I am very excited to share with you once again another amazing technique which I call my Neels Miraculous Laryngopharynx Closing technique with you. This technique is amazing. It is outrageous. I'm so excited to share this technique with you. On 23rd May 2012, I received a total esophagectomy procedure or gastric pull-up. An esophagectomy is the removal of the esophagus. Only the bottom part of my stomach was used and formed into a sausage and pulled up into my chest cavity and stapled 5 millimeters below the height of my larynx. The process of acid regurgitation and acid reflux became beyond comprehension after the esophagectomy operation. When I told a cardiothoracic surgeon professor and some highly qualified doctors that I could flatten and closed my feeding tube, they did not believe me. In this episode, I am sharing my miraculous laryngopharynx closing technique. Why do I call this technique my miraculous technique? During this technique, I learned to close my laryngopharynx and exclude some muscles and organs in the process. This technique is super effective in any extreme emergency conditions. When mastered this technique, it gave me the ability to use even less effort to perform this technique, to use my muscles even more economically. Currently, this is also the least effort technique of all my techniques. This technique is the most advanced technique, more than all the previous techniques. This technique is so effortless compared to the others. It is almost unbelievably easy. This was part of my game plan. I was wonderfully surprised to experience this unique technique. I thought that it was going to be a lot harder to achieve. The challenge was on, and I succeed this technique within minutes. I was overwhelmed with this success and victory. This is by my standards, my greatest victory I have achieved in the shortest time. This gave me the ability to use muscles and in combination that has not been possible in the past. I have also not shared this miraculous laryngopharynx closing technique with anybody. This is brand new information, and you are the first to receive this highly sophisticated technique. This miraculous technique, this supreme technique gave me the ability to be in a higher level of control over the outcome of every acid reflux that I have developed this far. All the surviving techniques that I learned over many years was God's ultimate plan to provide me a good quality of life and a new voice. This is my Miraculous Laryngopharynx Closing technique I developed under my personal conditions. I developed my technique based on my personal experiences and knowledge. I have no approved medical background or any medical qualifications. This description is based on how I think, hear, feel, and experience when carrying out this technique. I strongly recommend that you do not try this technique. This technique is very complicated, and I don't want you to hurt yourself and receive any bodily harm. This is a very intensive exercise that requires intense concentration. This is an extreme advanced technique and again a voluntary action. Does this mean that this entire process is voluntary? Absolutely yes. Let me explain this technique. Please take note. This technique is not like any other technique that I have shared with you. I have extreme control of my deglutition muscles. By evaluating the hardness of the different sounds, I need to regulate the amount of various muscle tension that is required to exercise this technique without causing unnecessary discomfort or bodily harm to me. I have learned to use my muscles more economically than you can imagine. I developed this technique for a supreme quick response. The response and the timing of this technique is super fast, much faster than any of my other previous techniques shared with you in the previous episodes. This technique consists of only one stage. This stage is not a pharyngeal stage, but rather a laryngopharyngeal stage. This is crazy. I developed this technique as another miraculous technique to have even more control over my laryngopharyngeal muscles and to conserve more energy and heat generated by excessive muscle use. This technique competes with success over the high speed of a severe reflux. My muscles are highly trained and are fit to endure long periods of exercise when doing these techniques. I don't experience any muscle fatigue, and the heat generated is almost nothing. I don't have to cool down my muscles and organs with water like I had to do in the early stage of training. The water was necessary to remove the heat build up in those areas. Those were the days when I was testing my muscles for endurance. This is the process. During all my previous laryngopharynx closing techniques, I needed to rely on all or some of my organs contained in my deglutition or swallowing process. With this technique, my highly trained muscles are not relying on any assistance. There are only one organ required to perform this technique. That are my laryngopharynx. This is a one-stop, one-action technique. I again stress the fact that I am not using any other organs but my laryngopharynx. It does not matter whether I am breathing in or breathing out, makes no difference. This is pretty amazing. I activate the upper circular muscles of my laryngopharynx to flatten my laryngopharynx. This command excludes any other muscles or organs attached, a more relaxed position than all the other previous amazing techniques. This is again by far my most advanced technique. It is of no use to demonstrate this technique because you will observe nothing from the outside. I will do a future episode in which I will demonstrate all the different techniques under close-up camera for you to observe. Is this the end of my developing new techniques? Of course not. I have many more. In my next video, I will share with you another great mystery. I am going to share with you how to combat a silent reflux. I believe that you will be very excited because I will allow you to join me to carry out this amazing technique. I believe that many people would like to combat this enemy. This is not an extreme technique, and I believe that many will have good success in a very short time. The best defense is to attack. Be proactive in bringing on small refluxes to ease off the sometimes hostile atmosphere in the digestive system. This is all in the next episode, and I can't wait to share it with you. I thank you for taking the time to watch this part of my testimony. I trust that you are a little more enlightened and that you will also follow the next part of my testimony that is coming soon. I want to leave you with this promise. The Bible tells us in John 15 and verse 7, "If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you." Christ is the true vine. And in verse 5, it tells us, this is Jesus speaking, "I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, bear much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing." In the Old Testament, the prophets prophesied the promises and the coming of Jesus Christ. In the New Testament, Jesus came to reveal God the Father, and Jesus teaches how to obtain and relationship with him by the Holy Spirit and to bring many sons into glory. When you are in that relationship with Jesus, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done to you, to him who believe. Therefore, may God bless you all. Till we meet again and goodbye.